Welcome back to Beast Machines Monday. I am your host, Decepticon Doug.
And I'm your other host, Predacon Paul. Today's episode is called The Key. Now, this isn't a metaphorical key, as you will discover. This is a literal key, like the literal seed of the past. Something about the future.
A lot of literal things happening, literally.
In this episode. Alright, this episode starts with Rhinox. He used his key tool to open a portal to the supercomputer. The only problem is he doesn't have the password. The password is belly button. And so he gets zapped and he gets thrown away. Yeah, he's like, you didn't say the magic word.
You didn't say the magic word.
Rhinox is like, please, god damn it, I hate this hacker crap. But then he, out of frustration, takes Jarvis and he hurls him at the thing.
Jarvis doesn't have a spark, so that means he doesn't need the password. So he goes right into the Oracle to find stuff, and then he finds it.
And then he brings it back.
And Rhinox is like, where's the stuff? And he's like, here it is. And Rhinox is like, and he's like, hey, look, a key. It appeared.
We cut to the Maxis, and they're underground with a drill thing, and they're digging for oil.
They've started a garden of techno-organic stuff.
With their seed of the future.
Which is now buried in the past. They managed to bring up some goop. What do they call it? The techno-organic core. But they discovered it's great as fertilizer. So they pull it up from the ground and use it to fertilize their plants, and it's working great. They're like, this is great. I love that we're making a garden.
I love that we're making a garden too.
What could possibly go wrong?
Nothing can go wrong because it's not like a giant tank with Rhinox's spark. He's just going to come crashing through the wall and just start messing everything up with this literal key in his gun blaster thing.
Something actually does happen and disrupts the garden, and it is Rhinox. Rhinox gives a lot of speechy stuff, saying like, guess what? I've got the key now and I'm in charge. And
looks like one of those Doom keys from like Doom 64. It's just this yellow key.
yeah, they're like, that's just an old Autobot legend. He's like,
you fool!
I've got the key, and guess what it's gonna do? It's gonna make you all robots. But first, the bean sprouts. With the hatred he had in his heart from the indigestion that the wild bean sprouts gave him back in the day.
There was a nuclear firestorm coming out of his ass.
Yeah, we've all been there. We've all been there once or twice.
Taco Tuesday.
He shoots the plants first and turns them all techno-y.
Blue. Because now there's a blue house with a blue window. You can clearly see it's turning into a blue Corvette. You know.
It's hanging outside.
Yeah.
And then he shoots Optimus. But in a moment of uncharacteristic self-sacrifice, Night Scream pops in, gets in the way, and he takes the hit for Optimus.
Right.
And he turns blue as well. And he's like, Dubba-dee, dubba-da, dubba-dee, dubba-da.
I'm double dying.
But right before Rhinox is able to shoot, oh, by the way, he prefers to be called Tankor now.
Yeah.
He's really embraced the Tankor identity.
The Tankor identity is the first one.
Oh, okay. And then, okay. Yeah,
it's the Tankor supremacy,
and
then it's
the Tankor ultimatum.
The Tankor ultimatum,
right, okay, yeah.
And then it's just Tankor.
There was that one where they recast the part, or rather, it's a different character, and that was the
Jeremy Renner.
Yeah, the Thrust Legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's not the Thrust legacy. That's the Rhinox legacy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he's Tankor, and then there's.
Oh yeah.
Two different.
Yeah, we're trying to make this. We're really trying to make this joke work for you guys. So if you could just smash the like button just out there, just as we're working really hard to make this happen.
Aren't you glad this is unscripted? Everyone gets ready to fight, and they're like, "We're gonna teach you a lesson that you won't soon forget." And then Rhinox is all like, "Speech." And then he starts powering up his key thing. And it starts spinning really fast. Turns out it too doesn't blend.
So we do know the answer of will it blend. The key to Vector Sigma doesn't blend. So now
and then he overloads and he dies.
And then a bunch of other tanks get through as well as Jarvis. and they pull his body out. We do discover, though, that with some of the organic juice from the core, it does help Mr. Bat Boy out, but they don't have enough to make him fully better.
So far, what we've discovered is this techno virus thing turns people blue, makes them agitated. That is all.
It turns out he's contagious. So anything that touches anything organic or techno-organic will also become fully technological and blue. Optimus is like...
We should get Rhinox because he'll be able to use the key to undo the thing that he did.
And then Cheetor's like, we gotta get more goop from the ground because that seems to help Mr. Batboy out.
We need to get one of those mole drills.
And use it to get more of the goop. Because it's gonna take way too long to actually fix this current drill that we were using.
And Optimus is like, no, we have to go find Rhinox, we have to grab the key, and we have to switch it from suck to blow.
It seems to me like there's a little trouble in paradise. And Cheetor and Optimus are not seeing eye to eye, and they both kind of think they're the leader. I guess Cheetor never really relinquished that title back to Optimus once he got better. Optimus is like, yeah, but I'm Optimus, so I'm the leader. And
Cheetor's like, yeah, but I'm a cat. Meow.
And Optimus is like, oh my god, he's right.
He is a cat.
He's a cat. They wound up going with Cheetor's plan to go get a drill.
Black Arachnia stays with Batboy to contain him and keep him from going crazy and contaminating everyone.
Because not only is he blue, but he's also...
He's contagious. Whatever he touches turns blue as well.
Jarvis brings Tankor's corpse into Megatron, and he's like, look how dead Tankor is. And Megatron's like, oh, I hate that. Take him away, take him away. Ugh.
This is too painful.
I love that big goof.
This is too big of a loss.
He was so loyal to me, and I'm gonna miss him so much.
Someone cry for me.
I'm just joking, of course, because Megatron's never shed a tear for anybody in his life. Baby Dinobot. No. Fortunately, such moments pass quickly. Then he notices that, indeed, there are Maximals on the surface, and he's been working on a little thing. It's a little different than before. By a little thing, I mean he's somehow transformed the whole Cybertropolis into a game of Tetris. And he's going to play a game of Squish the Maximal with the Tetris pieces.
More like a womp.
Yeah. So basically, the buildings are womps now, with Megatron's face on it. So every time he tries to smush them, he goes, "Urgh!" But if you jump on top of them and do a butt pound, you knock them out and coins come out.
Yeah. Or if you spin, you can bounce off of them.
Boing! Now the Maximals are on the run again.
Inside a factory of moles, because Megatron's like, I just happened to make a mole factory turn into a womp. For just this occasion.
And he starts shaking it around like it's a magic 8-ball. He's like, tell me my fortune.
I will destroy the Maximals, won't I? Situation unclear. Damn it!
Rat Trap mounts one of the moles and he plugs himself in. So he finally shakes the magic 8-ball so everybody starts to fall out.
What do you mean that look unclear? And then they're just like, ah!
But they manage to steer it straight down so that it goes right into the ground and then they don't get smushed by the falling. So Black Arachnia is like, hey, Night Scream, I see that you're still going crazy. I brought you some refreshing beverages from Mega Shakes. And she wants to give him one, but then he breaks out and he's like, boo, 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 boo. I'm crazy and blue.
And then he starts flying around all angry and stuff.
It does wind up ending up that after her chase, she gets hit by Night Scream, and she becomes a crazy ass spider too, which is like, blue are the feelings that live inside me. The drill goes into the ground. They dig up tons of goop. Black Arachnia and Night Scream are finally covered in the goop, and they're like, oh, we were crazy, but now we are not. And even the plants are all better because of all that goop. And Optimus and Cheetor, they're still having a little bit of a spat. And Cheetor's like, you gotta trust me. I'm not that kid anymore. I'm not Reckless Cheetor.
And then Optimus is like, yeah, well, do you have a whole episode of Beast Wars called Monkey Business just for yourself? And Cheetor's like, no, but I've got a whole episode called Shut the Hell Up. Although, to be fair, I think Cheetor's plans were what worked in this.
It's true, actually. The mole is what solved the problem in the end.
Yeah.
Mole. Mole, 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 mole.
Now, meanwhile, Jarvis brings the corpse, a poor, overloaded Rhinox, over to, drumroll everybody,
the actual Rhinox.
He's like, yeah, I think we fooled them. Yes, we did, sir. We love to fool them. Now Optimus thinks you're dead, and Megatron thinks you're dead. And Rhinox is like, excellent, now I can do stuff, and nobody cares.
The end.
The end.
Okay. Decepticon Doug. What worked?
The concept of the key to Vector Sigma, actually I probably should have looked this up. Key to Vector Sigma, it actually comes from Transformers lore. It was in the original G1 series. They are actually reincorporating pre-existing material into Beast Machines, and I think it was what brought life to Cybertronians. But it conflicts with the techno-organic aspect of the show, so that's why in this case it's being used as a weapon rather than something that brings life. It's not supposed to coexist with organic material. So,
which is an interesting concept.
I think reincorporating some of that old Cybertronian mythos, giving it a new context and bringing it into this new series, pretty cool idea. Especially since you don't really need to know that it's from the OG Transformers to get what it does in this.
Yeah, I did not know, but I get it.
But for those who do know, it's kind of a neat little piece of continuity.
First and foremost, I really liked the conflict between Optimus and Cheetor. It's not like they're trying to make conflict happen. It is a natural part of the fact that Cheetor is coming of age. He's the Rodimus Prime to his Optimus Prime, except minus Optimus Primal dying. He rose to the occasion, and he feels strongly about what the best course of action is to take in a given moment. And it turns out to be right. You've got Cheetor, who is, I think, a better technical leader in this episode. I don't mean overall, just in this episode. He outshined Optimus, but Optimus is the spiritual leader. That really shows in the moment where, right at the get-go, right when Rhinox bursts through the wall, and everyone transforms and they're ready to go at it, and he tells them to stop. And instead of viewing him like the threat that he is, he looks at him like the individual. He's like, no, Rhinox, what do you want? Instead of just shooting first, which I thought was kind of cool because he's still appealing to his old friend. And he's like, I am not Rhinox. I am Captain Ginyu.
Ginyu?
I just found a new body. Change now.
Yeah, it's true. It's really starting to see that play out a little bit more. Is the conflict of leadership, because I think at the end of the day, Cheetor is really coming through for the team, and for a good chunk of the episodes of the season, he was essentially in charge. I can understand why he wouldn't accept a demotion just because Optimus is back, and I think he at the very least his request to be taken more seriously, I think is very valid. Although I do kind of think, I don't know, that with Optimus back, maybe Cheetor should be kind of taking more of a back seat, or at least
relinquish the command because
obviously they can't have two commanders because their orders are conflicting, and somebody needs to be in charge. But I think as a second in command, he seems like a fine first officer.
100%.
Yeah.
But if he makes a decision, then you should just go with that instead of assuming you're right and then giving everyone attitude. That sort of leads me to one thing that I didn't like. Where did that come from? Because the episode starts and they're drilling. Well, number one, when did they decide they were going to drill? They was just all of a sudden they're drilling.
I guess, just stuff has happened in the meantime and now they're drilling.
Yeah, so now they're drilling, and yet for some reason Cheetor and Optimus aren't talking to each other. Where did that come from?
It is a little out of nowhere. Yeah.
And they're talking through Rat Trap and they're both acting like children. Number one, if you're going to be claiming that you've developed and you've grown up, you're not just a young bot anymore, then act like it and talk to Optimus. Okay? Number two, Optimus, what the heck? You are better than that. Really? You're talking through Rat Trap like you're 5 in a schoolyard fight? What, did he steal your pogs? Bro, come on. You led the Maximals through the Beast Wars, for goodness sake. You were everyone's anchor when it came to maturity and support and seeing the bigger picture. Was it because they wanted it to be funny, or were they really trying to drive home that these two aren't getting along?
Yeah, it's true. It doesn't fit, especially with no catalyst. Like if something happened maybe at the end of the last episode where they were having a disagreement and they're still kind of having that disagreement, I can understand that.
But
let's
talk about some of the stuff that we liked. Richard Newman. Holy cow! What a performance!
We're heaping on more praise onto Richard Newman. Buckle up, everybody.
Not to say that the other actors aren't great at their job. There's not as much drama and intensity with the dialogue that they're being given. Richard Newman is being given all this wonderful megalomaniacal stuff that he can do with.
He's being given the Megatron speeches.
Yeah.
And he's just relishing in it.
And it is so good. So good. I want to say that he turns out one of his best performances in this episode.
If anything, the writing kind of does him a bit of a disservice. Like, it's not like it's horribly written, but it is very expository. But he really does milk it for what it's worth. And you can tell he's just having a good time being a very theatrical performer.
And it's great. You can just tell he's having the time of his life.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Megatron's not giving his Megatron speeches, so someone's gotta.
Yeah.
I do also like Rhinox/Tankor at the very end, the reveal that he's like, oh good, I have now faked my own death by putting my teeth into this dummy, and now they have the dental records, and I'm presumed dead, and now I can just go do whatever I want to do.
And it happens to have his driver's license on there as well, and his passport, birth certificate as well. And a suicide note, and the suicide note matches the sentence structure and spelling perfectly. Why did they just decide they wanted to drill? What does that have to do with anything? Why drill just all of a sudden?
Yeah, actually, they didn't really explain. I mean, in this episode, it shows that they've gotten this organic liquid out of the core, but how did they know to do that?
How did they know there was going to be an organic reservoir down there?
You could always just kind of wave it away and say, like, oh, the Oracle told them, but like...
And the Oracle.
But when?
Why is the Oracle like actually this thing? Like this tangible thing that you can like bounce off of if it doesn't accept your spark? Why did they need to have that whole scene of him walking up to it and it shocking him and then him throwing Jarvis at it? Just for Jarvis to come out of it and give him the thing that he was after anyways. They wasted a good 5 minutes there. They didn't have to waste.
It's true. It was kind of just like obstacle. Oh, I overcame this obstacle. It was just like a little bit of padding that wasn't really necessary. And like it makes you wonder like why would it accept a completely technological being without a spark?
100% since the Oracle's a giant spark thing.
If anything, it would make more sense for Rhinox to be the one to go in there because he has a maximal spark.
Yes.
So
regardless of how corrupt it is, it's still a maximal spark.
Yeah, it's a barrier that I don't understand, and I think that it would have been a stronger choice for Rhinox to first try to send Jarvis in and then it reject Jarvis, and then he goes like, well, I guess I gotta take my chances and go in himself. I mean, it would have been the same outcome, but I just think it would have been more interesting.
It would have been more interesting too if he went into the Oracle, he actually talked to the Oracle in very much the same way Optimus talked to the Oracle, where it was showing him visions of himself.
Oh.
And if he had some sort of inner conflict due to that, and then he suppressed it and took the key anyways and then left. Then the Oracle shut down.
That'd be way more interesting. That would have been actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it's trying to appeal to his maximal side, but his maximal side, it's not that he's evil now, it's that he's a maximal who has simply decided that he likes it this way, as opposed to being corrupted by the evil Megatron. It's just a maximal who decided, nope, this is the way to go, and this is my future, totalitarian, authoritarian, this is what I want, and then he just takes the key and tells the Oracle to jog on.
And then the Oracle runs off and cries.
That would have been a bit more interesting in my...
I think so, because then it would have shown another layer to Rhinox's character of there being some level of a conflict within, but him still siding with this path that he's chosen.
Because then it's more about him making the choice, and it's less about there being some sort of programming issue. What else did you like? Well, I thought Ice Cream did a great job in this one.
Yeah.
The fact that he sacrificed himself, which
True.
It seems uncharacteristic until you rewatch the last episode and you realize that he had a real moment of conflict with himself because he felt responsible for others being killed when he hid and kept the place secret to himself.
That's a good point. I did say it was uncharacteristic, but there was that moment of him wishing he could have been more selfless.
Yeah.
And that was a moment for him to be more selfless.
And I don't think it was him saying, now's my moment. It was more of he went with what his underlying true nature is without fear. And that's, I think, what makes this moment so important for him. It was fear that was keeping him hiding in the shadows and keeping his secret bastion of freedom and safety away from everybody else, which is why he feels guilty, that whole survivor's guilt thing.
As far as like things that I don't like, or I don't even know if I don't like. I don't know how I feel about it.
Ooh, this is getting interesting. Let me get comfortable.
They turn blue. And they go kind of crazy.
Yes, crazy blue. Yes, more of this, please.
Thank you. I don't know how I feel about it.
And there you have it. It's profound.
It's in some ways I just kind of find it a little annoying that he's like woohoo. I just don't understand why by going more technological they go kind of to their baseline of like acting more animalistic. I think I would have directed it in a way where they're almost like more subdued and more like cold and unconscious.
Yeah.
Than going kind of crazy.
Kind of like the Viacons where they just stare.
Because they already did kind of the more animalistic crazy thing when they ate the fruit.
Yeah.
And that was made them too organic. So I feel like they should have gone the other way, where they would have been just like kind of cold and isolated, but still contagious. It's not like I hate it. It's not like oh, this makes the episode terrible. I just would have gone down a different route myself.
Yeah, I'm like in my mind trying to think of how they would have the drama of him somehow infecting Black Arachnia too. Maybe if she's like trying to feed him the stuff and he's just sort of like catatonic. And she's
or even
trying
like
to
he's twitchy or something,
like
just
yeah,
kind of like
he's like twitches a little bit, and then he twitches, and then he goes to catch the bottle because she drops it, and then they touch hands, and then she gets, and they're both just sort of like sitting there. That'd be so creepy. I feel like Megatron has been kind of sidelined, but that's okay because I haven't liked him in this show since like at all.
He did give that Magic 8 Ball a good shake at least.
He did, and he made a womp.
They're having the issue of the fact that he's stuck in a control room, and now they're trying to figure out, oh no, he's stuck in the control room. How do we make him a part of the show? Because he can't leave that room. So they're trying to think of ways about it, like making it so that he can interact directly with the city. It's an interesting idea. I don't know if it 100% sticks its landing, but it's an interesting idea and a way to kind of make him a little more proactive.
I think the whole idea of making buildings fly is the stupidest thing.
I just don't understand how they could how did he make that infrastructure happen?
The resources necessary. Okay, now, for those of you who don't get it, when you have an object, okay, and you've got a thruster, and you put a thruster on the back of the, let's say for the sake of this little demonstration, we've got a building, and you put a thruster on it, and you tell it to go this way, it generates thrust and it pushes like this, right? Now that puts stress on the building itself, stress that this building's not designed to withstand, and it's going to collapse the building and it's going to fall into pieces. And that thruster is just going to keep going that way. There's a reason why airframes on jets and helicopters are designed the way they are. So that way they can withstand the forces that are being thrust upon them with thrust. If you watch Overdrive. If you watch Top Gun Maverick and they're like, nah, the F-18's airframe can only handle 7.5 Gs. That's because if you put any more stress on it, you risk damaging the aircraft beyond repair. And if you put too much on it, the aircraft will literally rip itself apart. Ultimately, you can't take a building, put an engine on it, and have it go unless you design a building from the ground up that just happens to have a mole factory in it. You know the public library, I'm gonna build one. We don't have one yet, and I'm gonna put an engine on it.
It is definitely a little silly. And also, like, you just can't do that overnight. And there's no way the Maximals wouldn't know that he's completely rebuilding the city to move around. Them trying to overcome one problem, but landing into a completely different logistical issue.
Maybe we're just overthinking it.
I think we are. I think we are.
But in the moment when I was watching it, I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
That's true. The thing is, I do remember when I was watching it as a kid, I didn't question it because I was a kid. So I guess, we do have to give it to them as like the target audience probably isn't going to care that much.
I understood stuff like that when I was a kid.
Okay. I mean, I was a little dumber. That's okay.
No, it's just the Trekkie in me, because I know that, ships, the reason why the ships in Star Trek aren't bigger than they need to be is because the amount of stress it puts on the space frame, on the frame of the ship. That's why they have structural integrity fields. If you lose structural integrity, that's why she starts falling apart.
We also don't believe in excusing things by just going, hey, it's a kid's show. Well, it's our job here at Beast Machines Monday to nitpick the hell out of things.
Yeah.
So consider yourself nitpicked.
And if you got a problem with it, well, too bad. You can't do what we do.
You want to run this ship?
Yes. Well, you can't.
So we're going to give the key
The key.
4 out of 5 Doom keys. You know, we kind of felt that despite some of the things we picked at, overall the episode really works and leaves us wanting more.
There's not really much to say about it, except it was actually a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, despite all the nitpickingness.
Yeah, we pick because we love. Just like chimpanzees, picking all the little ticks out and eating them.
Ugh.
Yeah, we do that for you, Beast Machines. We do that for you.
Monkey business. Fear gone. True nature. I'll say the ow. Day.